orthophonic, high-fidelity recording is not just the mechanical reproduction of a concert performance. It's the art of creating the effect of a concert performance. There are many stops and starts, many takes and retakes. That's because the end object is a planned illusion.
So welcome back to Fresh Produce. This is episode 10. Thank you for everyone who has tuned in, everyone who has shown us love by subscribing and liking. And don't hesitate to give your feedback on any of the videos. Let's start some conversations. That's what it's all about. And you can email me at freshproduce.fresco@gmail.com. Last episode, we had interviewed Izzy, who has been steadily working on new music. So we'll definitely have him back through. On this episode, we're going to pick up where we left off with the SingerSongwriters series. This will be part 2. I'm going to change things up a little bit and do one artist per episode so that I can keep the episodes shorter and can go more in depth and give more details on the specific artist. So keep looking forward to the episodes to come because on one of them, I think I'm going to have a singer-songwriter call in who can give us some tips on how to create or how he creates his music with like online musicians. I do have a lot of people like message me and ask me looking for session musicians or a band to record like a song or a jingle for them. And the process just takes a long time to try to get these people together. And unless you have the budget, it can really be pricey. So maybe this is a direction that you can consider and maybe a little more cost effective. So to kick off this episode, we'll dive into the first pick, which is Brian Noble's. So I mentioned on the first singer-songwriter episode about how Ryan and Jessica Phillips were helping me to like officially kickstart my recording business in like 2015. And that's when we did that session at Ryan's house where we recorded Caitlin Smith's acapella. And actually, if you want to check more of that out, you can hear it. And that's like episode 4. So if you go to the Fresh Produce YouTube page, look up episode 4, and we dive into her song as well as Keizo's. So around that time, I reached out to Brian Nobles, which wasn't difficult because Brian's actually my wife's cousin. So we see each other at like family events and stuff all the time. And I had worked with Brian once before when I worked at a record store called Milk Spiller back in like 2010, 2011 over in Hattiesburg. And we would do what we called Milk Spiller After Hours, where we would record an artist or a band live in like the record room area. And we would put it up on Facebook. And it was like a simple setup. I think we had like a SM57 that Jason Kimes, the owner, would use and I think he just captured the room. So like everything wasn't mic'd up. So it was really, really simple, raw. And that's what I loved about it. Brian was on one of those episodes. At the time, I came to find out that he was actually a pretty well-known musician in the Hattiesburg area, not only as a solo artist, but with a group called the Petticoat Junkies. And from what I've heard, they were really good, and I've actually listened to some music since and was always really into them. And at the time, like, it wasn't even my style of music, but whenever I listened to that stuff, I was just, like, it just got me right into it. So definitely check that out. If I can find some links, I'll put them in the description below. So fast forward, I asked Brian if he would be willing to let me record him and do like a small interview to kind of help build my portfolio. So the day of the recording came, and we recorded in a tattoo shop that he was at. And by the way, Brian is also known as a tattoo artist, and I've heard that he also teaches art. So art is definitely something that runs deep in his veins. And this was definitely one of the coolest sessions that I had done because the room was covered in tattoo art, and we recorded right in the middle of the room. So I'll talk about the details of the setup a little bit. I had like a portable rig, and that's how I would mainly record at the time, is like I would go to people, and so I didn't really have like a stationary setup. And so I had a MacBook and an interface. The interface was a PreSonus Fire Studio project, I believe. And I used a FET condenser SD59 on his vocals above him a little bit so that he could sing into it and it not bleed so much of the guitar into it. And for the guitar, I used two Shure pencil condensers. I can't remember what they're called, but I used them in like stereo around the 12th fret. And I can't remember the guitar he used, but it was awesome. It was like this old school guitar. It had a really vintage sound. And you can probably hear Buster in the background. So in the back of the room, I had a AT2020 condenser mic picking up like the ambience. And this was like facing him towards the back of the room. And during the mixing, I added like a touch of reverb to that mic, just like some virtual reverb to just kind of enhance the reverb a little bit, make the room sound just a little bit bigger, and blended it with the rest of the tracks. And my mixing setup was, of course, my laptop and a pair of headphones. And I would test the mix on like this old stereo that my parents had for like 20 years that I ended up with. I would just play it through there. It would be like super bassy and boomy. But so back to the song. Brian played a song that he had written for his son, Josiah, Joe, whom he named after King Josiah from the Bible. And he explains in the interview that he had written it as sort of like a lullaby story for him, like about his name. And during the tracking of this song, I just kind of stopped and thought, like, wow, you know, I'm recording a great song in a really cool place, like in the middle of Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And like in this area, like so much influential music has come out of there that it just kind of felt surreal. And it was like nighttime, or it was like right at sunset. It was just like a really cool picture. And Ryan did such a good job capturing the moment and the art and the feeling that I think we were all feeling at the time. And after the recording of the song, we sat him down on the couch that was there, and he let us interview him. It was all kind of done shotgun style. We didn't have much pre-planning and all, but it turned out better than I had expected that it would. So enough about the story. Let's listen to the song. You're listening to Fresh Produce, and here is the song Good King Josiah, written and performed by Brian Nobles and filmed by Ryan Phillips. Drop the song.
Good King Josiah goes walking through the garden every day. Good King Josiah waves to all his people, as they say, oh hey, yeah, good King Josiah. Oh hey, yeah, good King Josiah. Good King Josiah never asked for nothing, he ain't earned. Good King Josiah fights for all his people, fights for all the right and wrong he's learned. Oh hey, yeah, good King Josiah. Oh hey, yeah, good King Josiah. Josiah goes walking through the city, walking through the city every day. Good King Josiah waves to all the children, smiles at all them babies as they play. Oh hey, yeah, good King Josiah. Oh hey, yeah, good King Josiah.
So that was Good King Josiah by Brian Nobles. And I really like how the song just kind of has this like live feel to it, and it's real raw. I used to not do too much to the mixing. I try to keep it how it was performed as possible. I don't go in and like edit little things out. And you can like hear cars in the background every now and then, because we were like right by a main road, and you can hear like the noisy studio equipment. And you know, that I love those type of recordings where it's kind of like done guerrilla style, and you just do with what you have. Brian was a trooper, because like me and Ryan didn't really prepare, but you know, we didn't really give Brian much to go by before we recorded him. He just kind of showed up. We were like, okay, this is what we're planning. And then he maybe did like 1 or 2 takes on the song and was like, all right, peace out. You know, he did the interview, and then he was like, take it easy. See you later. Thanks. And I think Ryan did a couple of pictures for him, and it just turned out, you know, really good. So, well, that's it for today's episode, and I hope you enjoyed it. And more importantly, that you feel a deeper connection with the song and the artist that you just heard. And as always, we appreciate when you give the videos a like, subscribe, hit the bell button, and be on the lookout for the next episode. Peace.